Welcome to the Run Your Day podcast, a show dedicated to helping you expand your capacity, take your life in every area to an entirely new level, and creating a day and a life by design. Here's your host, Dan Hafner. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Day podcast. As always, your host, Dan Hafner, joining you here. Today's topic is this: a story of adversity, the greatest showman. As always, I appreciate you all joining. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. All right, my friends. So, wanted to come on here and tell you guys a little bit of a story and a lesson that I learned over the weekend. Now, I'm quite late to this game, but over the weekend, watched the movie for the very first time, The Greatest Showman, with Hugh Jackman, the story of P.T. Barnum. I think this movie came out, I don't know, a long time ago, like not a long time ago, like, a couple years ago, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know when it came out. Anyway, I know it had come out a long time before, and I had never seen it. We have the new Disney Plus, my wife and I, and we just happened to be looking for something to watch over the weekend, and I had always wanted to see this movie. And if you haven't seen it, I'll try not to spoil it for you. I will just kind of mention, spoiler alert, if you have seen the movie and want to watch it, don't listen to this episode till you've seen it. But it's a very, very interesting movie. And, the story of P.T. Barnum, one of the greatest, marketers and business minds. I wouldn't say business minds ever, but, he was renowned back in his day for the creation of the circus and all this different stuff. And the story of his life was truly inspiring, from what he came from, being, very like just dirt poor, Taylor's boy, just like nothing to his name, right? But that really wasn't the lesson I took from the movie. The movie itself was how he was able to overcome all these circumstances, all the circumstances of the depression, of the times he was living in, of the adversity he faced, of the sheer ridicule and hate, like outward hate that he faced from people, and how he was able to create something so incredibly successful that not even him or anyone around him would ever dream of how crazy successful it would be, right? And the biggest lesson I took from this movie was this idea of a vision, right? The idea of a vision, and how, despite all the adversity, despite everything that was against him, despite the people that literally instigated, in like in the movie at least, I don't know if this happened in real life, but like actually burned down his business, right? Hey, I told you there was spoiler alerts. Despite all of that, and even like when he had quote unquote made it and was rich as hell, right? There was this adversity of people just hating him and burning his business down, and I mean, some of it he did to himself, right? If you watch the movie, just this idea of having a vision and knowing what he wanted and just going for it, just like literally just throwing caution to the wind and being like, you know what? I don't care who says what happens. I'm going to achieve this goal. And he wasn't like super set in the way he was going about it, right? He was flexible with the path that he took and the things that he tried, and he failed at first and made tweaks and adjusted, right? Um, but just having that vision and just holding fast to it, despite all the adversity, and just even when the chips were down and things were not looking good, and remaining calm, and just I learned so much from this movie. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you go and watch it, because not only inside of that is the story of his life, but it's the story of the people that he got in the show, obviously in the circus, the bearded lady, the little guy running around on the horse, and the trapeze artists, and like all these people that were considered quote freaks of their time, right? In the movie, they're like, oh, get rid of these freaks. Why do you hang out with these freaks? They call them freaks, right? And there was one line in there that really got me thinking about what he created, and they talked about how it was more of a quote celebration of humanity, right? It wasn't this, hey, I found these really weird people and I'm gonna parade them around for you to see and laugh at and get entertained by. No, it was actually a way to highlight and really like allow those people to stand out in a place, in a world where they were constantly ridiculed and never would have stood out and would have actually been shunned and further made fun of and all this stuff. And it's about how they actually made that internal transformation through the adversity, the incredible amount of adversity they faced in their lives as well, to overcome that and to be comfortable in their skin and to be, bold and well, I'm trying to find a better word for comfortable, but that's really all I can find. That be bold and comfortable in their own skin and own who they were, right? Just own with all that authority and all that passion who they were, why they were, and what they were about. Even though they were in the circus, right? It was significant to them. It was important to them. And this quote and this line in this movie of the celebration of humanity really stuck with me. And it made me think a lot yesterday about, you know, this whole process of what we all go through, right? We all go through this process of, man, I don't really want to own who I am. I don't really want to own what I'm about. I don't really want to take a stand. I don't want to be like the nail that sticks out or the sore thumb, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to face adversity from that regardless. So, do you have the courage, right? Do you have the courage to actually push through that adversity, to push through that? And a lot of it's internal, right? A lot of it's not even external. You might be in a place where you don't really face a lot of adversity in your life. You have to actually manufacture the adversity, right? I mean, any kind of adversity that people face today, obviously, if you were brought up in, abusive relationships, or if you were raised without parents, or, you're homeless, or you don't have any money, or just like, those are I'm sure there's all kinds of different, other circumstances out there I'm not thinking of, but, the chances are you don't have that high of a level of adversity. I always used to operate under the story that I had this just immense weight of adversity in my face at all times. And then I realized one day that's just not true. Like, I'm blessed with a lot of things. Yeah, I might not have the ideal circumstances that I want in life, but I do have enough for me to be like, you know what? I don't really have all that much adversity. A lot of it was manufactured internally, right? So, kind of getting back to what I was talking about earlier, do you have that courage? I was able to find that courage, and I still have to find it every day to push through that level of uncomfortability, that level of manufactured adversity that I have in my own mind about the things that I want and the things that I'm doing. It's tough. It's very, very tough, but keeping that calm presence of mind, keeping that vision in mind, just like I took from the Greatest Showman, of P.T. Barnum, just having that vision, having that calmness, knowing that, hey, if I'm dedicated to this and I keep trying, things are going to work out. Like, I'm going to find success eventually, right? And I think we can all take a very, very deep and valuable lesson from that, because you might try something once and it might fail and you might give up, or you might try something twice and it might fail both times and you give up, right? But are you willing to just actually create a crystal clear vision of what you want, why you want it, and pursue it no matter what? Like, pursue it with passion to the end, because that's what separates the successful from the unsuccessful, right? That's what separates the good from the great. That right there, that willingness to say, you know what, I will make this happen regardless of how much time it takes, regardless of how much money it takes, regardless of what is said to me, what is said about me, what setbacks I encounter. But not going at it with like oh, I'll show you attitude. Going at it with a positive frame of mind of knowing, like, hey, this is going to happen because it's going to be great and it's going to be helpful. It's going to be beneficial. It's going to be warm. It's going to be loving. So my question for you is do you have that vision, right? Do you have that vision to push you through that adversity? I'm still working on mine. Like I don't have mine fully nailed down, but I know now over the past, I mean, I had thought about this here for, I don't know, a couple weeks leading up to this movie, and it just kind of, it was weird. It was like a sign from God from to me. You know, it was just like this. Hey, like you need a vision, because when this adversity hits, it's very easy to quit when you don't have a vision. Maybe you've experienced this as well at one point in your life. Maybe right now, maybe before. Maybe you haven't yet. But if you don't have that vision, if you don't have that long term, like, hey, this is what's happening. This is why. You're going to quit when there's speed bumps in the road. You will, because I've been there, and I've quit many times. I've quit many times when I hit a little speed bump because I didn't have a vision. I didn't have that why I was clinging to, right? So my question for you today again is, do you have that vision? Do you have that vision to push through that adversity? And B, if you don't, right, start coming up with that today. Start, either meditate on it or start writing it. Start figuring out, like, hey, like, if I'm doing something that I want to be big, that I want to be big in my life, you know, what does that look like? Not only for the clarity of when I achieve it, but like, why is it significant for me to keep pushing? Because once I figure that out, I figure out how to push through the obstacles. And that's the secret, my friends. That's the secret right there. Okay. All right. So that's going to wrap up the show. As always, I appreciate you guys joining. Head over to runwageapp.com, download the Runwage app, and spread this show wherever you listen to podcasts, whether if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or wherever in the heck you are listening to this. Please let people know about the show and help grow it. And I got some awesome interviews coming your way here soon. I'm going to be on a couple shows as well here in the next couple weeks. So fun times, good times here at Run Your Day and Runwage. So as always, I appreciate you guys joining. Dan Hafner signing off. Make it a great rest of your day. Hey, have you ever thought about joining a virtual run challenge? As COVID-19 continues to upend our lives and change our life routines, finding fresh ways to challenge yourself physically can be difficult. I know I'm having trouble with that. It can also be pretty hard to connect with others and find accountability partners for the purpose of fitness as well. That's why we created Runwage Virtual Challenges. Runwage Challenges are a new and exciting way to stay physically active and maintain social distancing. Every challenge takes place 100% online, and you can compete against and engage with runners from all over the world. Best of all, they are the only virtual challenges out there which actually reward participants with real cash. That means you have no excuse for staying inactive during this pandemic. So if you've been looking for a fresh and interesting way to stay active and get your miles in, go to runwageapp.com/virtual challenges to join me and the diverse community of runners already competing. That's runwageapp.com/virtual challenges. Can't wait to see you there.